Frank Gore is going to sign with the San Francisco 49ers. We've got the offseason schedule ready to go and some notes on a couple of former 49ers quarterbacks. All that and more coming up on today's Locked On 49ers.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker with you at BD Peacock at Eric_Crocker. Thanks for making us your first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Frank Gore signing with the 49ers to retire. A one-day contract, according to the NFL's Twitter handle, which I don't see a lot of big-time information coming from there, but that's where I first saw it. Frank Gore, the NFL's third all-time leading rusher, 16,000 career yards, announces he's signing a one-day contract with the 49ers and will retire, which is the way it should be, right, Croc? I think today we should talk a little bit about Frank Gore's fantastic career with the 49ers.
The inconvenient truth, Frank the Tank, whatever you want to call him, man. I'd say one of the more underrated running backs in NFL history, with all that he had to endure in those early years with the 49ers, not truly having that like big time quarterback to take the heat off of him, and just how consistent he was. He had a couple injuries kind of early on, but he was just playing year after year and really kind of carrying the 49ers. Just can't say enough great things about Frank Gore. And I think the best compliment he can get is most guys he played with say he's the best teammate they've ever had. And I think that's awesome.
Absolutely. The guy who drafted him, Scott McCloughan, says it's his favorite NFL player of all time, like the favorite guy he's ever drafted too. Yeah. And it was amazing. You talk about the injuries. It's amazing that Frank Gore had the career he had. And the fact that he became like the guy who was an Iron Man at the running back position and played so long at the position because he tore his ACL twice before he even got to the NFL. And he came into the league. He didn't blaze. I think he ran like 4.6 or something like that, coming out at 5'9", 217 pounds, and off of 2 torn ACLs, and even early third round where the 49ers selected him 65 overall. Felt a little high because of that, because people thought he wasn't going to have any career at all because of the injuries. And he did have a few nagging injuries earlier on in his career with the 49ers, but then, man, just blew up in that second year where he had 1,600 yards, and the rest is history. Just one of the probably the greatest running back in franchise history, right? And, and I know he had some of his 16,000 yards that got him to number 3 overall later in his career after the San Francisco 49ers, but I want to talk a little bit more about his 49ers career, Croc. I've got a trivia question for you. So when he was drafted in 2005, he started one game at running back that year. I don't have it up yet because I don't want to know yet, but because I think I know who it is. Do you remember who the starting running back was for the games that Frank Gore did not start? He started one game his rookie year.
Barlow?
That's my guess too, Kevin Barlow. And I just wanted to see if you were on the same page with me on that. I want to see.
I like Barlow. A lot of people didn't like him, and obviously he had that one, good year. He went over 1,000 yards, but for a big back, he had nice balance and nice little shiftiness to him. But yeah, he fell off quick.
Kevin Barlow, he started 12 games for the 49ers in 2005. He had 581 rushing yards, 3.3 yard clip, as compared to Frank Gore. Frank Gore actually had more carries than Barlow, even though he only started one game. He had 600 yards. He had 4.8 yards per carry. So, yeah, it was clear that Frank Gore was the dude this season. Do you know okay, this is more difficult. Do you know who started the other 3 games? So Barlow started 12 at running back. Frank Gore started 1 game at running back. Another 49ers player started 3 games.
Man, we're talking about 2005, you said?
2005.
Oh, because Gore was the guy after that. So it wasn't someone like Charlie Garner. He was gone Wasn't
He was gone.
Lawrence Phillips, RIP. I think he was gone already. I have no idea.
Some of the names on this 2005 team I forgot about. Oh my God. This is wild.
They were bad.
A gentleman by the name of Maurice Hicks.
I have no idea who he is.
59 carries for 308 yards and 3 touchdowns. He started 3 games for the 49ers.
That's not a bad yards per carry though.
No, 5.2 yards per carry. Maurice Hicks.
Whoever he is, shout out to Maurice Hicks. I feel like I should know this, and I just have no idea who he is.
Chris Hetherington was a fullback on that team. He got
no idea who he is.
Terry Jackson. Do you remember Terry Jackson?
I do remember Terry Jackson.
Terry Jackson. He only carried the ball a couple times all year long. Played some special
Why do I
teams.
remember Terry Jackson, but not any of these other guys?
Not Maurice Hicks, yeah. Wow. This is unbelievable, man.
You're looking at the roster right now, huh?
Yeah.
Those weren't great years.
No, they weren't
great years for the 49ers.
All right. So Frank Gore led the 49ers in rushing in 2005 with 608 yards his rookie season. Never looked back. Do you know who had the least amount of rushing yards for the 49ers in 2005? You don't know, so I'm going to tell you. It was wide receiver Rasheed Marshall, who had -7 rushing yards.
See, I remember Marshall.
Mm-hmm. That team needed a lot of talent, man.
Well, that's why you look at the team now, and a lot of fans reference like, dude, you know, we complain about Garoppolo or other people, and not me. I'm not really complaining about them, but you know, a lot of people, you know, and it's like a lot of people reference those years. Like, dude, do you not remember 2004? Do you not remember 2005 and what the team was going through? And even Alex Smith, was that his rookie year?
Yep, Alex Smith was number 1 overall in 2005. Frank Gore was 3rd rounder, same year.
Tell everyone what Alex Smith's rookie year numbers were. Those, I think that's the most incredible. That's one of the more incredible stat lines for a first-round quarterback I've ever seen.
All right, we've got some stats here for the 49ers rookie quarterback in 2005, Alex Smith. It's loading up right now. Cody Pickett was on that roster too, by the way. Tim Dorsey was a backup quarterback. Tim Rattay. So Tim Rattay. So Dorsey, God, what a disaster this season was for the 49ers. Obviously, they didn't win a lot of games. But Cody Pickett started 2 games. Ken Dorsey started 3 games. Tim Rattay started 4 games. And rookie Alex Smith started 7 games on that team.
I think Alex Smith had like an shoulder injury or something like that.
Yeah. Really young. He was a redshirt sophomore coming out. So, you know, offensive line wasn't great in front of him. Alex Smith completed 50.9% of his passes, 875 yards, 1 touchdown, and 11 interceptions.
How crazy is that? I know when fans hear that, they're going to be like, what? 50% of his passes, 1 touchdown, and 11 interceptions. Yeah. Like I said, that's one of the more amazing stat lines I've ever read because it's so bad.
Pretty impressive feat by the 49ers quarterbacks actually that year. No 49ers quarterback had more touchdowns than interceptions thrown. They had 8 touchdowns. Did they really only throw 8 touchdown passes the entire year?
Oh, man.
That's insane, right? 21 interceptions as a group of quarterbacks. All those quarterbacks I mentioned. Alex Smith, Tim Rattay, Ken Dorsey, Cody Pickett. 8 touchdowns, 21 interceptions. Ken Dorsey had the best touchdown to interception ratio. He had 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Everybody else had more interceptions than touchdowns.
That's bad. That is really bad. And shortly after that, it wasn't like it was too much better. You did have the Sean Hill and JT O'Sullivan era while Alex Smith was there as well. Those guys were kind of playing over him at different times, whether it was injuries or whatever. I can't think off the top of my head, but I know they were playing.
It took so long for Alex Smith to get his footing and have a better team around him. And I'm actually pretty amazed that Alex Smith, and that's how you know he's, you know, headstrong and he's, you know, built the right way and has high character because of what he was able to overcome earlier on in his career. When he wasn't ready to play, the team was bad around him. And for him to have come through that on the other side and signed a long-term deal with the 49ers after his rookie contract is pretty darn surprising.
Yeah. But it was a unique situation. I know we're supposed to be talking about Gore. We're talking a lot about Alex Smith, but it was a unique situation because there was a lockout, 2011, new coaching staff, and I think the 49ers felt like, you know what, let's keep a veteran, so like maybe we can kind of keep this stuff together. And yeah, I think there was kind of some benefits to holding over him. I don't think they expected him to play well, and he definitely played some of his best football. His best football to that point, for sure. 1 touchdown, 11 interceptions. Oh my gosh. But we hear, and again, not to make this a Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo thing, but really both quarterbacks, Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo. People say Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo, oh, they can't do this, they can't do that. They never will have that kind of stat line, ever. Better team around them, though. But I don't care how bad your team is. You can't have that stat line.
The 49ers 2017 roster was not good when Jimmy Garoppolo showed up. What Jimmy did at the end of the year in 2017 was pretty darn impressive with the ineptitude that 49ers offense was and how little talent, because they gutted the entire roster, man. That roster was not in a good place in 2017 when John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan showed up. But I've got more notes on Frank Gore coming up. We've got the offseason schedule now officially out, and some former 49ers quarterbacks in the news as well. Can we talk about Athletic Greens, though? A pretty unbelievable product, AG1. It is super easy to use. It is one delicious scoop of AG1. You're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, adaptogens to help you start your day right. It's a special blend of ingredients supporting gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging, all of those things. And the aging, the recovery, the energy, those things I've felt immediately. It took a couple of days of having, one scoop in 8 ounces of water of AG1. And all of a sudden, I started feeling better. And it's, if you don't want to drink coffee in the morning, this is something that could replace that. If you are maybe lactose intolerant and you don't want to do yogurt and other things that you could get those probiotics, this is a way for you to get those with Athletic Greens. It's pretty unbelievable. And it's a lifestyle friendly product, keto, paleo, vegan, dairy free, gluten free, all of those things. It's not some sugary drink either. There's less than 1 gram of sugar in it, and no nasty chemicals, no GMOs, nothing even artificial at all in Athletic Greens. So go to athleticgreens.com/NFL network. They make it easy for you. Athletic Greens is also giving away a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. So just go to athleticgreens.com/NFL network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NFL network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all of your betting needs and sports information. We've got Masters Week coming up. Find all the latest sports developing, including Masters Championship odds, podcasts, reviews, news, all the different leagues going on this season that you can bet on at BetOnline, your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores as well at BetOnline.net. And by the way, you can bet on some draft props as well. Croc, what do you think? The team to select Kenny Pickett, the Panthers are leading there. The team to select Malik Willis, the Detroit Lions have the best odds.
Wow.
Willis, even before the Panthers. So Vegas seems to think that these quarterbacks are going to go pretty early in the NFL draft. You can tune into Locked On NFL Draft to find out more about those types of subjects, by the way. Bet online, head over to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. Bet online, where the game starts. All right, lots to talk about as it pertains to the NFL draft, Croc. And I look at some of these props and I'm like, some of them really make me raise my eyebrows. But draft props are some of the most fun things I bet on all year long because I think I got a little bit of an edge, and I usually do pretty well. But then there's some that's like, wow, unbelievable that that what these teams are doing. Sometimes they don't see eye to eye with 32 GMs in the NFL. That is for sure. Frank Gore. We know he's number 3 all time. He had 11,000 of those rushing yards, 11,073 to be exact, with the San Francisco 49ers. That is by far number 1 all time. Joe Perry, second all-time with 8,689 yards. Roger Craig, my favorite growing up as a kid, watching Roger Craig with the high knees. He had 7,064 yards in his career for the 49ers. Those are the top three. Here's another one that might surprise you, Croc. Do you have a guess who number 4 is on the 49ers all-time rushing list?
Terry Kirby.
No, Terry Kirby is down the list a ways.
Okay.
You know what's crazy? Kevin Barlow, who we talked about earlier, he's 8. He's number 8, right ahead of Steve Young. Steve Young's number 9 on the all-time rushing list for the 49ers. So it drops off very quickly. By the way, you're not going to get who number 4 is. Number 5, Garrison Hurst with 5,535 yards, and he didn't even play his whole career with the 49ers. In fact, he only played 6 seasons with the Niners, and he's up to number 5. Number 4 is Ken Willard.
Okay, yeah, no, I was never going to do that. Because I was going to say either Charlie Gardner, which I already mentioned, or Derek Lavelle.
Derek Lavelle. I don't think Derek Lavelle played long enough, but he had a nice short run with the 49ers. So I don't even see him on the list right now. But Ken Willard played for the 49ers between 1965 and 1973. He's number 4 all time. This is what blows me away, though, Croc. Let's go to receiving yards. And Frank Gore not only is the leading rusher all time for the San Francisco 49ers, he is number 21 on the all-time receiving yards list with 2,883. And he was actually a really good receiver, and I don't think was utilized enough in the passing game. I think he would have been a really good receiving back if he was used more.
Yeah.
But he was really good pass protector as well. So maybe that's why they kept him in at pass protection when he was in at running back when they were throwing the ball. Deebo Samuel, current 49er, is number 24 overall already in all-time receiving yards for the 49ers with 2,598. And it's crazy because the 49ers have 2 of the best and really even beyond that, they have some really all-time receivers, right? But they've also had some really bad receivers and tough luck trying to find some receivers, especially during our lifetimes. If they're not named Jerry Rice and Terrell Owens, there's and John Taylor is number 7 all-time. A couple of great tight ends. Vernon Davis is 6. Brent Jones is 8. Deebo Samuel's already 24 all-time leading receiver in yardage for the 49ers with 2,598.
How far is he outside of the top 12?
He's like halfway there.
Oh yeah, he'll get there.
Deebo Samuel's gonna be up there. Knock on wood, injuries hopefully allow him to do so. He's gonna be really high, and he's gonna probably pass 5 or 6 guys this year. In fact, he might pass 10 guys this year. Frank Gore's number 21 all time. How about this one though? I just wanted to see where Frank Gore was on the receiving all time list because we're talking about Frank Gore today. But how about this? Already in the top 10 is tight end George Kittle. He's 10th all time in receiving yards for the 49ers with 4,489 yards. That's pretty remarkable.
And the crazy thing is I complain about his usage and he's still, dang near at 1,000 yards every single year.
Pretty unbelievable. It's right in front of Roger Craig already. He already passed up Roger Craig. He was the best dual threat running back in the league in his day. Michael Crabtree passed him up already, 12. J.J. Stokes is 13. George Kittle ahead of all of them. And I'll count up the top 10 here. It's Kittle at 10, Freddie Solomon at 9, Brent Jones 8, John Taylor 7, Vernon Davis 6, Billy Wilson from 1951 to 1960. Listed as right end is what his position is listed at. RE, not wide receiver, not tight end, right end. That's Billy Wilson. They were running a very different offense back in the 50s.
I was going to say, what year did he play?
51 to 1960. Gene Washington from 69 to 77 is number 4. Dwight Clark 3, Terrell Owens 2, and more than double Terrell Owens receiving yards is Jerry Rice at number 1.
And the crazy thing is you say Terrell Owens at number 2, but like Terrell Owens is like number 2 in the entire NFL history, and he's still like getting doubled by Jerry Rice.
A Jerry in a 49ers uniform. Yeah, pretty unbelievable. So
I have a question for you, Peacock.
Yeah, sure.
Is Frank Gore a Hall of Famer?
Frank Gore's definitely going to the Hall of Fame. But I know that when I think of a lot of people say, well, first of all, I hate the Hall of Fame argument because it's just so different for everybody. But there's just like this criteria. It's like, did you do this? Did you do this? You check enough boxes, you're going to get into the Hall of Fame. But I love the idea of, can you write the history of this sport without blank, right? And if you can't, then that player is for sure a Hall of Famer, right? And if not, then maybe they shouldn't be a Hall of Famer. And to me, you could probably tell the story of the National Football League without Frank Gore in it. But he's the third all-time leading rusher in NFL
I
history.
know.
He's got to go. He's got to be in
It,
the Hall of Fame. But he's not on the same level, and he will never be thought of on the same level of the other guys that are around him. Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith and Walter Payton. You have to include them when you're telling the story of the league's history, but not so much Frank Gore. Jim Brown.
yeah, I don't think he was ever like. I don't think he ever led the league in rushing. No rushing titles. I'd assume no first team All Pros, or maybe no even second team All Pros. Maybe that one year he had 1,600, but the team was so bad. So I think it's tough for him, because I think there would be a lot more love for him if those early 49er teams were good. Then by the time they did get good, he was still like a legit running back for sure. But I don't know if people, even at that time, would have considered him maybe a top 5 running back in the league.
5 Pro Bowl selections, no first team All Pros for Frank Gore. But it's just the amazing consistency. So he blew up in year 2 when the first full season as a starter with the 49ers in 2006. He had 1,695 yards, almost 1,700 rushing yards that year. And then 1,100 yards, 1,000 yards, 1,100 yards. Came back with a stretch of 4 more, 2011 to 2014 of 1,000-yard seasons, 1,200, 1,200, 1,100, 1,100. Had another 1,000-yard season with the Colts. So that's like 10,000-yard seasons the guy had. So he was just
Yeah, he was doing some
remarkably
crazy stuff.
consistent, but he was never like, this is the best running back in the NFL. But he
I
was so
think
impactful.
49er fans, Niner fans that say he's a Hall of Famer,
Mhm.
I'm not sure. I'm not
He'll
sure.
get in.
Now,
He will get in. How quickly does he get in is probably more of the question.
well, Richard Sherman talked about how it is starting to get easier, I guess, to get in for whatever reason. So maybe down the line, maybe he gets in, but I think it's going to be a good little wait for him.
It could be. It could be. Number 3 all time in rushing might be enough to say, well, this guy's got to go, and maybe he'll get in sooner than I suspect. One more
But
quick
it's
note
still
on
weird. He was never the best. I have a problem with that. Like, even like Matthew Stafford, right? People are starting to make the argument for Matthew Stafford. And it's like, he was never the best back in the league at no point in his career. I mean, well,
yeah.
quarterback, like Matthew Stafford, never the best quarterback. And again, I don't think anybody would say at any point Frank Gore was ever the best back in the league. Other guys that you'll, fight for, like Daniel Tomlinson, at one point it was like, man, he's the best back in the league. Like, a lot of the guys that will get in at the running back position, you talked about Emmitt Smith. For a stretch, there are people, best back, or it could be disputed or argued with maybe a Barry Sanders, or, like, you can always at least make an argument, but I don't even know if you can make an argument for Frank Gore that he was ever the best back. As much as he meant to the 49ers, even to their NFC championship runs, I still think that there's always going to be that, like, and I think that's going to make it really tough. Now, if they just go off of numbers and say, well, he was extremely consistent and played for a really long time, and everyone loved him, that might help. But I don't know what the standards are to get into the Hall of Fame anymore. So that kind of throws it off.
I think just the consistency and for how long he did it and for how good he was for so long is definitely going to be enough. And as long as you are high enough in a category like all-time rushing yards, you're going to eventually get in, even if you weren't. And I totally with what you're saying there, but Frank Gore has a special place in 49ers fans' hearts. That's for sure. And
100%.
any 49er fan would be voting for Frank Gore to be a Hall of Famer. Next, Croc, there is a couple of notes, interesting things going on with former 49ers quarterbacks, and the offseason schedule is set. I want to tell you folks about that after I tell you about Built Bars and a couple of fantastic brand new flavors at Built.com. Brownie Batter Puff, which I can't wait to try, and Raspberry Cheesecake. 100% real chocolate covers both of those bars, just like most Built Bars. And it's really something that you can't explain until you eat a Built Bar and you realize, man, this thing's only like raspberry cheesecake. It's only 140 calories, 17 grams of protein, and only 4 grams of sugar covered in real, delicious 100% chocolate. It's unbelievable how Built Bar is able to make a healthy snack that's good for you, that's high in protein, yet so low in calorie and so low in sugar. Of course, the Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow, but all the standard flavors as well: mint brownie, peanut butter, salted caramel. Their cookies and cream, I know, is one of Croc's favorites as well. There's something for everyone at built.com. So all you got to do is go to built.com and put in our promo code locked15 and you will get 15% off your order. Again, that is promo code locked15 for 15% off at built.com. All right, Croc, did you see Colin Kaepernick with ex-49ers head coach Jim Harbaugh at Michigan at the blue and gray or blue and maize or whatever the hell game they call that? Honorary captain. He actually went through a workout with Harbaugh. He's been doing a ton of workouts. He's throwing the ball to DK Metcalf, trying to get a workout with the Seahawks and potentially get signed. It was really just kind of surreal seeing Kaepernick and Harbaugh together at Michigan. And I know Harbaugh was like a little critical of Cap right away when he first started taking a knee and he didn't get it. He's like, what the heck was this? But obviously he's coming around and, you know, as human beings do, grow and learn and all those things. And it was pretty interesting to see Kaepernick and Harbaugh together. I don't know, just seeing those two guys together in midfield on a football field was just, you know, probably made a lot of 49ers fans feel some type of way.
It was really cool. Just to see that love and like the smile and the hug. And, like Harbaugh, I loved how he was with his quarterback. Like his quarterback was the best player, or not even just his quarterback, like his players in general, they were the best players on the planet to him. There were nobody better than his guys. And I love the confidence that it instilled in whoever was out there, whether it was Alex Smith. Hey, Alex Smith, do the little pregame thing, pat him on the shoulder, hit him on the head, do the same thing with Kaepernick. Like just the way that Harbaugh was with his guys and to see the interaction between him and Kaepernick over the weekend, that was pretty cool.
And how about this? According to NFL.com's Mike Garafolo, the Raiders have agreed to terms with
Nick Mullins.
Former 49ers quarterback Nick Mullins is going to a team that he tormented when he was a 49er, the Las Vegas Raiders. Right now, it's Nick Mullins battling with Garrett Gilbert to be the backup quarterback to Derek Carr. So, I think Nick Mullins has a shot to be the number 2 guy, maybe, potentially, for the Los Angeles Raiders.
Not even drafted.
Not if he looks like what he looked like last preseason with the Philadelphia Eagles. That was ugly.
It was a bad fit.
That's what makes you wonder, like, when you get a Nick Mullins or even a Jimmy Garoppolo. And I know Jimmy was with New England, and he was really good there. But when you get these quarterbacks, like, what is he gonna look like away from Kyle Shanahan? Because Mullins was a capable backup for Kyle. He went to Philly. I mean, it was terrible, right? And I wonder what it's going to look like with Jimmy Garoppolo as well.
I've said it a few times. The only thing we know about Jimmy Garoppolo is he's somewhere behind Tom Brady and better than like Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard. But there's a lot of space there. That's a big gap. Like, where is Jimmy Garoppolo in that gap? Greatest of all time or number 3 quarterback? Jimmy's in the middle of that somewhere. I don't know where. And I think we'll get more context on that once we see what Trey Lance looks like with the 49ers, with the same weapons in Kyle Shanahan's offense, and we see Jimmy Garoppolo with a different coach, with a different offense and different players, and we'll see what he looks like there. Then we'll learn a lot more about both Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo and probably Trey Lance too.
That's going to be a very intriguing storyline that, I'm just excited to see really for both guys. Just because, like, as a fan of football, as a fan of sports, as a fan of, just football players and watching them do their things, just see these guys get put in to these like unique situations and kind of the storyline that's going to come from that. I think that's going to be a very intriguing one throughout the year.
And as is usually the case, the offseason program usually begins and players hit the field for a little veteran minicamp or veteran OTAs or whatever they call it right before the draft. And then so this year it's April 19th is when the 49ers offseason program begins. I don't know if there's any official OTAs or they'll just be at the facility sort of working out and doing some things starting on April 19th. And then after the draft, you've got OTAs in May 23rd and 24th, quick weekend OTA there, a day off, and then again on the 26th. So there will be a rookie mini camp as well. Then you've got another one in May and June and a few more in June. So just sort of scattered OTA practices between the end of May and the early part of June. Then they come back for the mandatory mini camp June 13 to 15, and then they shut it down for a month and come back to training camp in late July. So that is what the offseason program looks like for the 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo will not be able to throw. So even if he's still on the roster throughout all that, it's going to be all about Trey Lance and getting him as ready as possible for year 2 to potentially be that franchise quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. So important times for the Niners and Trey Lance, and really for John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, because if Trey Lance doesn't go well, that affects them. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun season, Croc.
Well, this is all, I mean, and you talked about Jimmy Garoppolo rehabbing, things like that. I'm curious to see if he even rehabs at the facility. We'll see if he's away. You heard Kyle Shanahan talk about like not speaking to Jimmy throughout the offseason, or he's kind of like not a guy to communicate. I don't know, something weird. But
yeah, apparently Garoppolo's not good at returning texts too. Like friends will call him or text him and he won't return texts.
Yeah, as far as Trey Lance goes, you know, this is, I don't want to say this is it, like, but however this goes, like, this is all on you, so yeah, limited playing time and things like that, but you've had a year in the NFL, so everybody's throwing all that out the window. Now it's your time, your opportunity to take hold of the situation and look good enough to give them confidence that, hey, you are the guy moving forward, not just in the future, but like this year. Like, and he has to show that. He has to show that. He has to prove that. He has not even just proving it to Kyle Shanahan. It's proving to Shanahan. It's proving it to his teammates, the guys that were all on board with Jimmy Garoppolo. So that's going to be pretty kind of fun to watch, to kind of hear how the players are talking about it. Because one thing I think that can't be overlooked throughout last season, right? And when you kind of hear some of the comments coming out before his game against the Houston Texans, a lot of what you're hearing was, oh man, he's improved so much. He's gotten better, this and that. And, we were on him about this, and they were pretty open, but it was like, well, are they saying this just to say it, or is he actually getting better? And then you watch him against Houston, and it's like, you know what? That was a better version of Trey Lance than what we saw week 5. So he's going to have to continue to make those type of strides and really, again, prove to his teammates that, no, I'm the guy that's going to take us really far this year.
Right, exactly. So if Jimmy Garoppolo is working out somewhere else, right? And let's say he does show up and he's brought back to training camp, and Jimmy shows up. He's like, all right, guys. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, no, wait a second. This is Trey Lance's team now, right? I just walked into a different locker room, because Trey Lance will have that opportunity throughout all these OTAs, throughout all the spring program, to win that locker room and win those guys. And Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to be on the field commanding the huddles. So that it's a huge opportunity for Trey Lance, not even to, like, well before he actually shows up on the field and actually competes in training camp or plays preseason games to go win the job. He can win that job in the spring by making everybody understand that it's his job and just taking command of it.
Yeah, and OTAs are interesting. And obviously, I did all that stuff with the New York Jets. They have different like phases. So when you first get there, you have meetings. Really, okay, at least through the Jets. We were there for 4 hours, 4 days a week. So 2 of the hours were film study. Another 2 hours were workouts. Like one hour was on the field, 1 hour was in the weight room. And when I say on the field, it's just like agility drills, different things. I used to have, like, my partner was like Tim Tebow and stuff like that. But as it progresses, you start to do more things, walkthroughs, and you kind of get to, visualize things. And then next thing you know, you actually get on the field. And I know a lot of people would say, well, the offseason stuff doesn't matter. It does. And it is competitive. Like, it's not, I think everybody just thinks like, oh, OTAs is just walkthroughs or something. Like, no, our OTA practices and even like mini camp practices, everybody was trying hard, at least from what I could tell. I know I was,
Yeah.
So it's not just a time where people take it off the gas. Now, are people in the best shape that they're going to be? That was one thing that was interesting to me. It's like, you guys are in the NFL and y'all not coming to OTAs like in great shape. Like, you guys are out of shape and all that. I had some teammates that would show up and be like 200-pound cornerback, but like 5'9". Aaron Berry, he was like 5'9", 200. And then come training camp, man, 188, 187, best shape of his life. I know everybody says that, but guys ramped it up heading into training camp. So, yeah, all those things is going to be fun to just see how Trey Lance, responds to really what the challenge is.
Wow, it's a good thing that they didn't let you throw next to Tim Tebow at those OTAs and mini camps, Croc, because if anybody out there saw Croc's pro day this weekend, throwing the ball all around the joint, man. You even did the roll left throw off platform, like the throw that we see
How
in
was it?
everybody's
How was
pro
it?
days.
Honest
Just dropping
assessment.
dimes. Well, I got to say, the stages of Crocky's pro day, and we got to get out of here, but I just want to say this. The arm was impressive, I will say. But it started off a little bit like, okay, this like it went from like Crocky Gabbert, where you're throwing bounce passes on slants.
I did.
And then it's like Crocky Montana, right? And then it was just like Crocky, I don't know, Crocky Lance or Crocky Josh Allen with the big throw, the big pro day throw at the end. So that was
My
pretty
favorite one was the stretch, boot to the left, and then throwing it all the way left to the end zone. I mean, on a dime.
Oh
Like,
yeah, and it was right there, like he had to toe tap it on the edge of
yeah,
the end zone. Yeah,
yeah,
that was the
that was
throw.
fun. That was fun. I have fun with it. People were like critiquing me, like, "Oh, you this and that. Oh, you have a hitch." And it's like, dude, I'm just out here messing around, having fun. Get the hell out of here.
This is a DB
Like,
playing quarterback, but you had a legit arm. You were slinging it out there, Croc. I was
yeah,
impressed.
yeah, do my
QB1.
thing.
All right. Good stuff. We will be back tomorrow. Thanks everybody for making us your first listen every day. For your second listen, check out Croc co-hosting the Locked On NFL Draft podcast. A ton more to talk about as it pertains to the draft for the San Francisco 49ers on this show. Croc and I back tomorrow right here. Locked On 49ers.